Alrighty, everyone. It's, let's see, Wednesday, December 21st. I thought I was going to be late, but I wasn't, so cool. Today we're going to look at Fibonacci. This is a buy request, and then we're going to take a look at, where is it? This little thing here. It's an EA trade manager type thing. I like it because it's simple, easy to use, and free. We'll get into it here in a minute. Just let me get all set up. Crap. Sorry. I'm screwing up stuff on my other screen. Alrighty, so let's see. Let me get up a normal chart because I'm using Renko, and Fibonacci with Renko on my tiny little ones isn't going to work. Let's see. Let's bring up ugly GBP USD. Go 5-minute chart, and let's zoom in a little. There, let's just load up a template, see if we can get it. And so basically, we're going to go over Fibonacci for a bit. Let's get rid of the grid. Let's get rid of ADX. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Fibonacci, how it came about, what its uses are. And let's get some color in here. Bar up, lime. Bar down, red. Bull candle will make you lime also, and bear candle will make you red. We'll see if we can see anything out there. If not, we'll deal with what we got. Let me flip through some time frames, see if we see anything interesting. Bam, bam, bam. Okay, so the reason I did this is I had someone show me their charts, and they were using Fibonacci, but what they were using was what I would consider a one-sided Fibonacci. Like, they weren't doing it correctly. Now, when we get into it, Fibonacci is about ratios. If you're doing a one-sided Fibonacci, which is basically like a V, I'll try and draw something like they're drawing the Fibonacci here, which has no basis whatsoever, really. And then they're using it to try and predict the upward movement going this way. That's a one-sided Fibonacci. It's not correct. There is no ratio for it to deal with there. It's more like a here's a resist, here's a support, and here's a resist. With Fibonacci, it's all about ratios. So what is Fibonacci? Well, let's first, where did it come from? And this is a little bit of truth with a little bit of blah. Leonardo of, what the hell is his name? Pisa, or Leonardo Pisano, or I don't remember. But either way, he's given credit for Fibonacci. But he actually didn't come up with it. He actually was over in, I believe, Egypt, around that area, and at that time that was like a mecca of mathematics. And he kind of saw it there, but he did bring Fibonacci to the, I guess you could say, to the public, and made it very popular. He was considered one of the greatest European mathematicians of the Middle Ages. And when I say Middle Ages, I mean like 1170 AD. So, and yeah, so that was quite a while before, hell, that was even before like BC came along. Don't get it confused with Leonardo da Vinci. He didn't come along for another almost 300 years, or 200 years, I'm sorry. So Da Vinci wasn't around for 200 years, and Da Vinci also used Fibonacci in paintings and a lot of his work. So don't get confused there. But Fibonacci is basically about ratios. It's to help you. It can be used for pullbacks. It can be used to identify exhaustion. It has a bunch of uses. So first, before we get into it, let's see if we can come up with how a Fibonacci sequence or Fibonacci setup would look. And then we'll take a look at, see if we can find some on the charts. A lot of people overcomplicate Fibonacci. I mean, really, it's kind of a simple thing, and there's only certain key numbers that we're going to be looking at. But I'm not going to draw candlesticks. I'm just going to use a line tool and make it green. And then I'm going to draw a couple lines on the chart. So a Fibonacci sequence in Forex, or stock trading, or whatever you're doing, is pretty simple. We're looking for an A, B, C, D. And I'll make it that easy for you. So here's A and B. This is our first line. Paint makes it difficult to connect these bitches, so I'm going to quit it. Our next move is a downward move, and then our next move is an upward move. Now let's put the letters on it, and we'll take a look. This is a correct one. So we have, let's go cap locks A, and I'll make that black. Or I won't, because I'm an idiot. Why don't you want to go black for me, bastard? Black. Here, let's just make it bigger too, if it won't go black. I'm not in the mood to screw around with it. Okay, so here's A, B, C, and D. Upwards or downwards, this is what we're looking for to form a correct Fibonacci ratio. Meaning that we're determining this move minus this move down tells us about what this move up may or may not be. This doesn't work 100% of the time. Nothing in Forex works 100% of the time, or all of us would be some rich mofos. So, but this is what we're looking for. Now, let's say, here's A, B, and this is why I say when I see people that I'm not going to say they don't know what they're doing, but they're doing it incorrect in my opinion. Let's take a look at, so here's A and B. Now this is what I see a lot of people doing. If at any time when price moves down, if it crosses lower than our A point, so here is A, B, and now C is down here. If we see this, this is no longer a Fibonacci sequence, or it isn't even the beginning of a setup for one. So you want to ignore these. So the correct setup is going to be, let's say if it's moving downwards. God, I hate paint. That is what the correct way we're looking for it. And let's label it again. So it's A, and you're back to green. Screw you then. C, D. So what are the important points to get out of this? The AB move can be up or down. The C move, if it's down, it cannot be higher than A. If it's an up move, C cannot be lower than A. Otherwise, we have an invalid setup. We don't want to even take a look at it. So A, B, C, D. That's what we're looking for. C being lower than A. It wants to be in the middle of A and B. If it's not, then it's not a good valid setup. And we can just ignore it, move on. Okay, so are there any questions on the basics? What we're looking for as a valid setup for Fibonacci? I'll give a minute or two for that, and then we will go over to MT4, and we'll look at how we draw Fibonacci on the charts and where the tool is in there. It's really not that complicated. Like I said, if you start it step by step and do it, it's not that complicated. It's pretty easy to figure out and do. It does help with just about any type of trading to be able to identify these. I don't draw them on my charts all the time, but I guess in my head I see them because I've been doing it so long. Fibonacci is one of the first tools I ever used, so it's been drilled into my head over and over and over. Combining Fibonacci with support and resist is just, I mean, you could almost trade by itself that way if you wanted to. And then if you combine like Fibonacci with pivot points or other things like that, you start to get a really clear picture of what's going to be happening on the charts. Okay, so no questions. Let's move on. Nope, don't want to save. Okay, let me get rid of this and this. Now looking at that, let's see something here real quick. So if we're looking at it, I'll try and pull something out of my bum here for some Fibonacci, but we have one forming, a valid setup kind of forming. We could take it. Here's Fibonacci. So if you look on your tools up above, you'll see the pointer, the crosshair, and everything. You should see something with an F. It says Draw Fibonacci Retracement. If you don't see it, just right-click and go to Customize, and it's going to say Available or Selected. And if you look through there, you'll see it on there. It's called Fibonacci Retracement. It's this one right here. If it's on this side, you click Insert, it'll move it to on this side, and it'll appear up here. See, like if we do trend line by angle, I could do insert, and now it is up here, right there. Okay, so getting into it, what do we do with Fibonacci? Well, for instance, how do we draw? It goes from a low to the high, and then down. So if we're drawing it in upward movement, we start at the high and go to the low, and then it'll draw it correctly. Now let's label it and see what I'm looking at. Hopefully y'all can see this too, but if not, there's A. Let's see if we can make that bigger for you. And I don't like that orange red. And then we'll talk about key levels with it. So here's our A point. Here's our B. And if you hadn't guessed, here is our C. Okay, so with Fibonacci, and now let's zoom in a little so you can see this. With Fibonacci, on the right-hand side, you're going to see some numbers. Coming into it, 0, and I'm going to point out the ones that you should pay attention to, and then if you want to get more in detail with this, I have other videos with it, but this is just a basic walkthrough to hopefully get some people using it the correct way. Here's 0, here's 100, 61.8 is a key level, and 161.8. Those are the key ones we have to worry about. Now there are some other ones, but we're not going to concern ourselves with them. We're going to concern ourselves with 0, 61.8, 100, and 161.8. So what we have then is price moved up. We have A, B, C. So now we can draw Fibonacci, and what do we see here? What does this help us with? What does it accomplish by using this? Well, one, our expected move, if this is on an uptrend, from here to here, that's our expected move upwards. If it does go upwards, this is about where it would run out of steam. So if you got into a long trade, this is where it would run out of steam. Now what's the first step though? Is it has to break through the 100. Now if we're looking at the 100, and let's do this a little bit practical, if we're looking at the 100, that becomes a resist. If we look to the left, is that supported on the chart? Well, it kind of is, because here's a resist, and if we look back, here's a support, but what's the support come when price hits it? It also becomes a resist. If we zoom out a little more, we can look back, we can see another area here. So if I was going to get into this trade, what would be the first thing I'd be considering to do? I'd be waiting to see if I can get a price close, a candle close, above the 100 line. Because right now what I would expect price to do is it moved A, B, it hit 61.8, which is a good, solid foundation as a Fibonacci setup. But I think it's going to hit 100 and either consolidate there for a little bit or bounce down. We'll see if that happens. Well, we may or may not, depending. But the first thing, if you're trading with Fibonacci, is you could see if it clears through the 100. So if it closes above it, that might be a sign to get into a trade, a buy. What happens is a lot of people, it hits 61.8, and what do? They jump right into a trade, a buy, and then they get their asses handed to them because it hits 100 and it bounces right back and drops. And we get like the heads and shoulders type setup. Give me a sec. Okay, sorry, I'm trying to drink coffee. Okay, so that's what we'd wait up on a setup like this. Now, what else could price possibly do here? Let's get rid of this. As I'm watching a Fibonacci setup, I'm looking for a potential setup. Price moves up, price moves down, and I'm looking for my C leg to form. Well, what if price, and this is just a general belief in Forex trading, if price closes more than a 50% retracement, let's say it comes down to this 23.6, yes, it may move up, but I guess general Forex thoughts are that if it does this, it's no longer moving up. It's going to move down back to the 100 at least, because we went more than this one up, and it dropped more than 50% of the move up. So it's kind of like looking at it that it's going to move back down. Right now, so let me draw it for you. A little easier to see. This is our decision window, I guess you could call it, when you have Fibonacci on there. If price bounces off this area and moves up, we might have an upward movement. If price closes downward below this little blue zone, then we might have a downward movement. So if you're waiting to see if price is going to continue up, you'd watch, bam, it hits 61.8 or it hits 50 and then bounces back up. That would help validate our decision-making process to get into a buy. Now, we can see what price is doing here. It's just kind of dicking around between the 100 and our 61.8. So we still don't know what price is going to do. So I would not be in a buy. What would I be waiting for a buy? I'd wait for it to close above the 100, and then from here to here, that's 39.2 pips I have to play with. Because if it closes above this, then we're looking that it's a possible upward movement, and this is our exhaustion point up here. I would be looking to get out of the trade somewhere around this area. Let's see. Any questions so far on this? I'll look for another example. We'll go through it one more time. I'm trying not to overcomplicate it because I see so many people overcomplicate this. We'll see if there's any questions. Meanwhile, I'll drag a couple charts up onto here. And we'll see what we can see. So first let me clear off all the objects. And I can't indicate. I'm so losing my mind today, sorry. There we go. So we're clear. No questions yet. Let's take a look at USD/CHF. We got another one here. I'm going to run through and just draw some on here so you can take a look at them. So we're looking for the low point. We're looking for an A, B, C, and a move down. So let's take a look at it. So it went from, here's the low point for B, here's A, down to B, this is C, down to D. So what are we thinking on this one? Well, here's A. I'll label it one more time just so we can be clear. Here's A. Here's B. Here's C. And the D movement down. So we didn't get a complete pullback to 61.8, but like what I say we'd wait for, if it did close below 100, we could get into a downwards looking trade. If we zoom out a little bit, we want to look to the left. Is there anything stopping it? Well, the closest support we have is around here. So it running down to 161.8 here is believable. I mean, I wouldn't have a problem with seeing price do that. Again, like I said, don't overcomplicate it. Now, if price moved up to here, what are we watching? Our zone for decision is here. If price moved up to here and closed above here, I wouldn't be looking too much for a downward move. There are some cases where it will move down, and I'm not going to get into those. We're doing the simple basics. The request was just so I could explain Fibonacci, and then they could shoot me questions from there. So price moves up, and this is our decision-making area. If price is above here and closes, then we're looking at upwards because it was a close of 50% more the move up. If price comes into this zone, then drops back down below 100, then we can go ahead and jump into a trade south. Let's take a look at some more charts, see if we can find anything else to play with. Let's see, A, B, possible C with a D down. Here's one that's already there. Let's see. And I'm going to guess we had a bounce, but A, B, C. So let's draw another one. So here's A right here. Here's B. Now what did it do? It moved up to 61.8, and it dropped down and closed below 100. Now did it get a complete rundown? No. But if you would have got in at the close of this, it dropped 10 pips, nowhere near the 161.8. But it also, and we'll get into this, as I can see here, it also never closed. I'm looking at a close on the 61.8. For me, it never hit the 61.8. So let's see if I can do this. And it works. So I'm going to draw a box from 0 to 100, because that's this leg's move. Now let's see if I can move it. I don't know if I'll be able to. I should be able to, though. So I'm going to take the range, and this is getting a little bit more complicated. We'll keep it out of here for now because I don't want to confuse anyone. But basically, it didn't drop immediately. It moved up, didn't drop immediately. It kept closing below, but the 61.8 was holding, and we do get a resist zone here. Now, the only thing that would bug me is if I was taking this and I got into the trade, I would have set, because let's see, here's my entry right here. And if we go back and look, 17 pips up, I would have probably put my stop loss right around the 61.8. Normally I'll put it 1 to 2 pips up, so let's see if we would have gotten stopped out on this. So it's 1.3 pips up, give or take. It's a little bit less than that. So there's a good possibility I may have gotten stopped out on this trade. If not, if I took a 2 pip stop loss, then it did finally run down to 161.8. Again, these are not always going to be perfect setups, but we can see that here was up, down, and then it did finally move down. Not the prettiest setup, and what I would differ on is saying that this was it, and this was the move down, and it stopped here. So what we would do is get rid of this, get rid of this, because we see another ABC pattern forming. And if we take a look, and it's an ugly one. Here's A, B. Actually, no, I wouldn't even consider it. It's yucky. Hey, get out of there. Let's take a look at some other pairs, see if we can see some clear examples. Here's Euro. It's been pretty slow lately. We can draw one here, though, because we can see another ABC pattern. Here's our high to our low. So A, B, here's our C. Didn't hit 61.8, moved up. Here was the close of the candle, moved up. Remember, we're in holiday trading also. These aren't the best examples, but I'm just trying to show how to draw it and get it on there. Because, these are kind of ugly, but oh well. We'll keep going. I promised I would do it. So let's look at AUD USD. A, B, a baby C, and up. You could possibly call this one 1. It's a little bit hard to, well, it's not really hard to see. But here's A, B, and then it pizzles out and moves up. Nothing spectacular there. So, meh. Like I said. Then we have A, B with a C here and a move down. So we have another one here. Here's our A, here's our B. This is our C section, I guess you could say. And moves down. See, it's not that complicated to do. Here's another one. Here's A, B, C. Moving up to 100. It barely closed above it with a doji, which is a sign of indifference. It doesn't know what it's going to do. So that probably would have been a signal not to jump in, but we don't know. Again, guys, this is not... I wouldn't recommend using this tool by itself. For instance, this is a good example of one. So here we have it, but what do we have to the left? The 100 line, all it does is reinforce the fact that we do have a resist over here that it has to push through. And if we look out a little bit, I can say look to the left. Here's another one here. It did push through that one a little bit, though. So as we can see, price stalled out here and moved through, and now we're getting a drop. Right as it came out of 100, it's moving back down. It looks like it's getting rejected by this. It's just a tool to help you identify, because if you have a 0 to 100, and if you look to the left and there's a resist for an upward move, you know, maybe that thing's not going to fly through it. But if we don't have anything to the left, like let's say this was all down here, then we could look to the left and be a little bit more, think a little bit more into, yes, it's going to run up. Let's look at US CAD. A, B, a baby C, and a move up. I'm not seeing anything too spectacular on that one. US CAD's been really boring. NZD, USD, this one moves, so maybe it'll have something on it. A, B, C, and a move down. So here's an extended one. I mean, you can look. This thing took forever to form, but let's take a look at it. Here's our low. And then price moved up. It hit 61.8, and it slowly dropped down. So this isn't like immediately, hey, yeah, whatever trades. These, if you're trading forex, it's not binary options where you're paying attention to one candle. You're just looking to be able to catch the move. So this is a good example of it, but look how long it took. This is almost 1 day here. So it took almost 2 days for the Fibonacci sequence to complete. Well, a day and a half. We'll look at a couple more, and then we'll jump to the EA that I was going to show y'all. It's a free one from pztrading.com. It's kind of nice. I might actually use it. Let's take a look here. Here we have another one. Let's zoom in and take a look. Let me turn off the scroll. But again, it does take some time for these moves to form. That's an ugly one. Where's the one that I saw? I'm losing my mind. You could do A, B with a C. Nah, actually it looks kind of ugly. A, B. Let's look at GBP, JPY. No, 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 no. We don't want that. This one's a little bit, but they're ugly. It's just basically seeing them to help you determine. But here, we'll draw it here. Here's an A move, B. It moves down to 38.2, so I would not have entered. Comes up, it hits 100 and holds, drops down again, 100 and hold. And then it finally closes above, and you could have gotten here with your stop loss down here, and it finally moves up. But by that time, what we see is another Fibonacci pattern forming. So if we're watching this, here's A, B, and C. Again. So then we have to move it. So it's A, B, here's our C. Again, it dips way down to 38.2, but it does come up. And then as we're watching that trade form, what do we get again? A, B, C, and another move up. So this one's actually, and this is GBP, JPY, this one's actually doing very well. It's just taking some serious dips in. So it's A, B, C down, and our move up. And then if we look, do we have any more? But remember, through that was a 2-day period that we got 3 setups on. So you have to be patient with them. Okay, so do we have any questions on Fibonacci? I wanted to go over it. This was a buy request to just go over the basics of it. I didn't want to get too in detail. If you want a more in-depth one of how the ratios actually work on if it's a 38.2 dip, it jumps to 127, we can get into that. But they basically needed to know how to draw them correctly. So remember, it has to be an ABCD, well, ABC pattern to form. These one-sided Fibonacci legs are for the birds. They don't work, and no. That'd be like drawing, let's see, if I can even find one. Here's a one-sided. Okay, so here's a one-sided Fibonacci that they were drawing them as. What they were doing is doing it this way. Oops, and I drew it the wrong way because I can't even think about doing it. So they were drawing it, they would see a move up, and then a move down. So it'd be blip blip, and they're looking for it to come down to here. This is an A, B, and remember we said here's A, here's B, this is moving down as the C leg. If the C leg drops below A, it is not valid. So they were using, there was no ratio involved in that. So we would delete it. So now what would you wait on? A, B, C. Now we can draw a Fibonacci because we have it right here. Here's A, here's B, here's C, and it drops down. That's a correct setup. That's basically the point I wanted to get across today. Does anyone have questions on it? If not, we'll move on to the little EA that I was going to show. That'll take like 2 minutes. That's why I'm saving it for the end, because it's nothing complicated. US bell just rang. Alright, so let's take a look at the other EA. Really easy. It's called PZ Trade Pad EA. You can find it over at PZ Trading. I'm not affiliated with them. I like it because it is free. If you look in the marketplace for something like this, people are charging between $30 upwards up to $100 for this. So when I saw it free, and I have people ask me about this all the time, is where can they get one, blah, blah, blah. Pepperstone has one, but it's hit or miss, and it would bog down. It was a one-click trader add-on, but it was really hit or miss, and you couldn't use it across the board with all trading platforms. This one works with all trading platforms. It's simple, uncomplicated to use. So we're going to go through it real quick, and I'll put a link down in the description to their website so you can find it. I'll put it straight to this EA. I don't want to drop the file because that would be kind of cheating them out of getting traffic. I like it because, one, you can move it around wherever you want on the chart. The other one that I was using would lag the hell out of MT4 when you did this. Now, as per settings, if we look at it, there are no settings except for manual pip value. You leave it 0.0 to auto detect, and that is it. You throw it on the chart. What does it do for you? Well, lot size, percent of equity. Let's say I want to trade 3%. All I have to do is type in 3.0. It's going to look at my equity, and it'll figure out what 3% of my trade is based off of a 10 pip stop loss. And if I want to take a sell, you just hit sell. Oops. I might not have it enabled. There we go. So if you want to take a sell, you just hit sell. It draws, here's your stop loss, here's your take profit. You move it out of the way. It automatically did 2% of my account. So the trade size was 0.32 lots. Now, you could do buy, whatever. I like it because it figures out your trade size for you. So I want to risk 2% of my account, and based off of a 10 pip stop loss. And that's about right because there's my previous swing, and I'm looking for a move down. So yeah, it's about right on the money. Easy, nice and easy to use. Sell, buy. Now if you put pending orders on here, so let's say I'm going to sell, so I would have to place trading. I'm going to put a sell stop on there. So now we have a pending order down here. So what if I want to delete all pending orders? Click it, gone. Where otherwise you have to right click on the trade like this and hit close. That's easy, but sometimes price starts to move opposite, or you make a mistake and you want to close it real quick. You have to go into your order screen. I like it because it's simple, quick, easy to use. If you're in profit, it lets you close 50% of the trade and close all trades now. Very simple, easy. I definitely recommend it. I really like it. It kicks the shit out of the one that the brokers were giving out that would lag MT4 and make it quirky and just, it was horrible. It would slow down MT4 so much, and that was the one-click trader thing that a lot of brokers use. I definitely like this one more. Told you this would be a quick one for the review of this. That's why I added it in with a by request video. Do we have any questions on the EA? Where to get it? It is, let's see, let me find it real quick. I'll put it in the YouTube chat and then I'll post it with the link. PZ. Oh wait, I got the email. That'll give me the link directly to it. Let me find the email real quick. Sorry, should have thought of this ahead of time. Ugh. Where are you, you little bastard? Sorry, I'm yawning. Okay, so I'll put the link in there, but basically you go over here. Where's my YouTube? There we are. This is the link to get it. Again, I'm not affiliated with them. I don't make money off them. I like it because it's free when I see too many people going out and buying this damn thing. I'm not going to say anything, well, take their indicators that they offer on their webpage for what they are. They're just indicators. I will say this about them. They do make a lot of their indicators sound like holy grails. There is no holy grail indicator out there. So if you dig around on their website, they have a lot of stuff, but they do hype it up quite a bit. But that's where you get it. All you do is download for free. It's going to ask you for an email address and what broker you're using. You have to give them the correct email address, and you can just toss in whatever broker it is. Like I said, I wanted to toss it out there, though, because it's free. I mean, you can't freaking beat free, where 99% of these products that are offered out there are would you call it? Shit. They charge for them. Yeah, I need a break. I need coffee. Okay, so let's go ahead and start wrapping it up. Do we have any questions over Fibonacci or the little EA that I'm showing? I will put the link in the description. Actually, let me go ahead and talk it. It's already there now. Other than that, we got a news trade coming up at 9:30. If you got in the signals group, remember the PDF with the video walkthrough of the setup will go out Tuesday, and signals will resume January 9th. So we will have everyone ready by January 9th, since we have all of this month and a few days in January to make sure you're all set up correctly. If you have questions about your signal setup after Tuesday when you get it, just hit me up so I can answer your questions. All right. I don't see any questions coming in, so I am done. I will probably pop back up live for that US CAD oil trade today, and that's about it for today for me. Thanks a lot, and y'all have a good one.